You guys, this year's E3 has been a different one, a strange one. So the hype coming into this E3, at least for me, was pretty big because we haven't had an E3, well, we've missed a year, so we haven't had an E3 for 2 whole years since 2019. Obviously, last year in 2020, we had a whole Summer Games Fest, Summer Games Mess, whatever you want to call it, which was, instead of being boiled down into a weekend, it was the whole summer. The whole summer. It was a bit of a strange one where you'd have thought that the hype would have carried on over the whole summer, but it was the same amount of hype, just stretched thin, so no one really ever got that like condensed excitement that we get from a usual E3 weekend. And that energy's kind of carried on this year. EA aren't doing a conference until next month. Sony have opted out of E3 this year. Microsoft and Nintendo both did big old conferences. Ubisoft did an okay one, but you can tell it was a pandemic year. But despite that, there were still some hype moments this year. Still some moments that blew me away, that made me go... And spoiler alert, most of them were from Nintendo. I am a huge Nintendo shill, as many viewers will know. Don't be surprised if a few of these games come from the Nintendo side of things. A few too many of these 5. I'm going to say out here, 3 out of 5, 60%, which isn't bad to say the year we've had. But we're starting off with something that isn't Nintendo. We're starting off with something that wouldn't usually be part of Xbox's conference, would usually be part of its own announcement, but this year, because Xbox acquired Bethesda, their conference came out swinging, absolutely swinging, and it landed their punches. First of all, Todd Howard came out. Todd Howard was the one to introduce the Xbox conference, not just the Bethesda conference, the whole Xbox conference. And he came out with a trailer for Starfield. And even though it wasn't the most... Even though the trailer itself wasn't the most hype moment, even though it didn't show gameplay, it didn't even show as much of the world or anything like that, what it did show us was that, first of all, both Bethesda and Xbox are very, very in this whole partnership with Todd Howard opening the Xbox show. Second of all, it showed us the release date, 11/11/2022, exactly 11 years after Skyrim released on 11/11/2011. And it also showed us Xbox exclusivity. And you know, it's coming to PC, but Xbox platform exclusivity. It's coming to Game Pass, coming to the Microsoft Store on PC, it's coming to Xbox consoles. This is huge. This is a huge deal. Like, bigger than I thought, bigger than I expected. It was one of those where, if you're Microsoft and you buy Bethesda, such a huge company like Bethesda, with such huge IPs as Fallout, as Elder Scrolls, as Wolfenstein, as Doom, and even Starfield before release is already a huge IP. You don't buy that company and put things multi-platform. This was not surprising, to say the least. But even though it wasn't surprising, you know what it was? It was a big hype moment. Xbox killed it with this opening. Let's go to number 4. Mario plus Rabbids, Spark of Hope. I told you this list was going to be very Nintendo focused, but Mario plus Rabbids Spark of Hope was debuted at the Ubisoft conference. This would have been a more hype moment if Nintendo hadn't leaked it first on their website. Nintendo, what are you playing at? But you know what? I don't care. We're gonna count it anyway. We're gonna stick it in here anyway. Mario plus Rabbids Spark of Hope is the sequel to Mario plus Rabbids Kingdom Battle that I said I didn't know I needed. I knew I needed it. But really, What I expected from a sequel to Mario plus Rabbids Kingdom Battle was more of the same in a different setting, or numerous different settings, you know? Maybe a couple new Rabbids characters, a couple of new Mario characters. Just expected that same XCOM grid-based combat all the way through. Mario plus Rabbids Spark of Hope was an absolutely fantastic reveal. It wasn't just a sequel in the sense that we're getting more of the same. It's a sequel in that classic Nintendo style, where they're doing a sequel because they have something new to do with the game mechanics, with the world, with the story, with everything. So it's not on a grid anymore, which is a little mind-blowing. You know, I assumed any sequel to this game would kind of take that formula and run with it and expand upon it. And by expanding upon it, they've completely changed it. So both the out-of-combat and in-combat areas seem more open, more free-flowing. It will remain to be seen whether we still get the same level of fluidity, or even more fluidity, from the characters, in the sense that you can run up to someone else, have them launch you, and then jump onto an enemy, and then run behind cover, and then shoot them. That game was brilliant for its systems, but also its character and its charm and everything. It was brilliant for making us like the Rabbids. Who came out of that game not liking the Rabbids? In fact, I was convinced that Rabbid Peach was going to be the Smash Bros. Announcement today because of how well liked she was in that original game, but apparently it wasn't meant to be. But still, Ubisoft, you did a great job with Kingdom Battle. It looks like you're doing a great job with Spark of Hope. And I've not even mentioned Rabid Rosalina is such a mood. Oh my goodness, the way she has that little emo fringe going and she's just like... Ugh. Rabid Rosalina is such a mood. All the characters look so great. The movement looks way more freeform. It looks like there's a lot more exploration in the overworld. It looks like a real Mario RPG with an expanded version of the original Kingdom Battle combat. I am here for it. The number 3 Get Hyped announcement is Metroid Dread from the Nintendo conference. See, we're 3 entries in, and I've already had 2 out of 3 being Nintendo. And there's one more to come. It's very Nintendo biased, but number 3 is Metroid Dread from the Nintendo conference. And so I love, absolutely love how they introduced this. So one of the producers came on and said, we are still working on Metroid Prime 4. Don't worry, you're not going to see it today, but don't worry, it's coming. And then they had the title come across the screen. Metroid 5. And I love it. That's such a get hype moment. It's such like a placeholder title. They have a real title, but first, before they show that, they say, this is Metroid 5. This is the 5th mainline entry. Forget Other M. Other M didn't happen. This is the sequel to Metroid Fusion. They showed a Samus. They showed the big dog thing that looked like it was from Aperture Laboratories. It's called Emmy. And then it showed more gameplay. And then we got the title reveal, which I feel like we got years and years ago. I've looked this up, and apparently Metroid Dread was in development for the Nintendo DS, the original Nintendo DS back in the day. So it was going to be like a more mainline, you know, just a sequel to Fusion earlier on. But no, it was never meant to be until now. So resurrecting that name kind of, you know, at least it fits with the indestructible enemy of Emmy. Try saying that 5 times fast. It fits with the indestructible enemy of Emmy, but also it's a huge callback to any Nintendo fan who remembers that Metroid Dread was going to be a thing back in the day. And what a hyper-real Metroid. And then they showed Metroid Dread. They showed the title twice. They showed the title Metroid Dread twice. That's how confident they are that that's a get hype moment. They were not wrong. Next, we had something very early on. Was this even officially part of E3? I'm not sure, but I don't care. We had Jeff Keighley announcing Elden Ring. And when I say announcing, we knew it was coming. We didn't know it was coming this year, but we knew it was on its way. It wasn't a new announcement. In fact, looking, this is the only one on the list that isn't a new announcement, and this is how hyped Elden Ring was, and still is. For Jeff Keighley to be so excited to get it at his conference. For him to introduce the world to the world of Elden Ring. So cool. The gameplay looked great. I can't wait to see what From Software and Hidetaka Miyazaki do with an open world setting. That's going to be crazy. Apparently there are like distinct areas, and each area has a dungeon, like a mainline dungeon, almost like Zelda, and then each mainline dungeon connects to like another realm or something. I'm not entirely sure, and I don't think I'll be entirely sure ever because of how the storytelling works in Miyazaki's games, in From Software games. But you know what? I'm here for it. I, for one, cannot wait. I'm so excited. So excited. The bosses looked so cool. So cool. What did that one guy say with the axe? Hold on. That's it. He had the big old axe in his hand, in his hands, because he looked like he had like loads of hands splitting out from his arms, and he just goes, "I command thee, kneel!" Oh, such an epic moment. What a hype E3 moment. And for many people, Elden Ring might have won E3. But before we get to our biggest hype moment, let's go for some runners-up, some big old runners-up. Let's go, you guys. So, the first runner-up I've got is obvious. It's another Nintendo one. It is The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild 2, name pending. So it was the sequel to Breath of the Wild. What a fantastic trailer this was. So we had a few people in our Twitch chat saying they were disappointed with this trailer. They were whelmed, they were underwhelmed, whatever they were saying. But you know what? I wasn't. This trailer did exactly what it needed to do. So if this game was coming out in October, November, you know what? I'd still be very happy with this trailer. I was about to say I wouldn't be happy with this trailer, but no, I'd still be happy with this trailer. So what this trailer did was, it took the original trailer that was Zelda and Link are going on this little journey into these caverns, and then there's something that is corrupting what looks like the remains of Ganon. Maybe it's the remains of the Calamity that's not like quite left yet, almost not quite been vanquished. I don't know. I don't have a clue. But that trailer left us with a load of questions. Now, this trailer showed us some answers, but not to those questions. It showed us a new feature of the Stasis Rune, which Dingram rightly pointed out looked like it wasn't just holding things in place, it was sending things back in time, but only those things. So, like, boulders rolling down a cliff, you stasis them, and then you could select them to go back in their own time stream, it looked like, and to roll back up the hill and crush anyone who gets in the way of them rolling back up the hill. Very strange, but very cool. It showed off the islands in the sky that people can traverse across, which now, Skyward Sword being re-released before Breath of the Wild 2, really seems to make a lot of thematic sense. Who knows whether they'll tie in story-wise, but each individual Zelda game, as much as everyone puts them on a timeline, including Nintendo, they are very standalone. But let's see how this fits in with Skyward Sword. It might not. It might just be a visual sort of consistency sort of thing, but here we go. There we go. There we go. But it looks great. It looks fantastic, and it left us with more questions than answers, which is where they needed to leave it for a release in 2022. I'm sure we'll get those answers down the line, but this is keeping us talking about it. Another low-key get hype moment for me was Giancarlo Esposito as the villain in Far Cry 6. I can't remember the villain's name, but in Ubisoft's conference, they didn't even need to show any gameplay. The cinematic was kind of underwhelming visually. Maybe it was because I was looking at it on the stream, and obviously live stream quality isn't quite as good as what you would get from just a trailer or a video. But still, Giancarlo Esposito's performance was incredible. He absolutely sold how terrifying he was, and how right he thinks he is. Someone said how he's playing the villain of the Far Cry series, and he was like, no, I'm not playing the villain. And then really sort of, in a way where he believed he was right, sort of explained his beliefs and this, that, and the other. And like, that is so scary. It's like Thanos, isn't it? That's why Thanos was so scary. It was a villain who believed it was completely right. And that's what Giancarlo Esposito looks like it's going to be. Another low-key get hype moment, and it's mainly because it came completely out of left field. It came completely out of the blue, but I'm going to give this final runner-up spot to Sea of Thieves: A Pirate's Life, where Johnny Depp and many other voice actors from the Pirates of the Caribbean series are being brought in for a story expansion to Sea of Thieves. How bloody silly does this look? And I am absolutely here for it. I love it. I love it. I love it. So I saw the trailer and I was like, initially I was like, oh, a Sea of Thieves expansion. Oh, it looks kind of like mystical and almost like Pirates of the Caribbean like. And then I heard the drawling sounds of Captain Jack Sparrow, and I realized, this is it. This is Pirates of the Caribbean in bloody Sea of Thieves. I mean, it makes sense. It makes all the sense in the world. The biggest pirate movie franchise with the biggest pirate game right now. Just nothing I was expecting at all. And I'm absolutely here for it. And finally, my E3 get hyped moment. My personal, I would like to add, E3 get hyped moment. I know this is nothing compared to Guardians of the Galaxy being revealed, which is, on our letdowns, spoiler alert, it's nothing compared to Guardians of the Galaxy being revealed. It's nothing compared to gameplay of Breath of the Wild 2 with Link with long, luscious locks. It's nothing compared to the whole Xbox Bethesda conglomerate, which now is. But it is. It is something. And that is a brand new WarioWare title for Nintendo Switch. I am so excited. I am unreasonably excited for this. So I played the hell out of WarioWare Touched for the DS and WarioWare Smooth Moves for the Wii. I suppose, I don't think there's been anything else really in the series since those two. I know there's been the, was it called WarioWare Gold? That was the, like, compilation of a best of WarioWare, but that's not what I want from WarioWare. I know there was the WarioWare DIY where people can make their own minigames, but that's not what I want from WarioWare. I want a designed experience, I want a core experience, and I want it to be super silly, filled with a cast of colourful characters who are just utterly ridiculous. And that's what it looks like we're getting. So one of the gimmicks this time around is that the characters themselves can play the minigames with different sort of powers they have and power-ups. Hopefully that doesn't reduce the number of minigames because they have to make each one playable by 10 different characters or 20 different characters or whatever, but I don't think it will. I really hope it won't. And I also really hope, beyond hope, that there are some touchscreen minigames for on the go, that there are some motion control minigames for sitting at home and playing like smooth moves, and that there are some button control minigames. If we can get a WarioWare that is all three of those things packaged into one, the best of three worlds, then I will be so excited. And it's coming out in September. It's so soon. This was such a random, out-of-nowhere moment for Nintendo. A new WarioWare game is something I've wanted for a long time, and so I hope they don't disappoint. But you know what? From the trailer, from the co-op minigames, from the colourful cast of characters, from the weirdly 3D art style they almost showed off, I wonder if that's in the game or just for a trailer, I don't know. But it looks like it's got that signature WarioWare humour. It looks like the micro games are on point. It looks like the co-op / competitive elements of it are super fun. For the first time, you're playing minigames together at the same time. I just can't wait. And that's it. Those were my get hyped E3 moments for 2021. I absolutely loved this year. You know what? It wasn't like the most hype year of all time. There weren't like new announcements coming left, right and centre, new surprises here and there. Sony didn't even show up. But what was there was a great time. We had a great time watching it together at twitch.tv/Samuel Carmody. So that link's in the description if you would like to watch my gameplay or any reactions to events like this alongside it. We also have podcasts coming up with the wonderful Dingram2909 with Video Games and Chill. That's going to be linked right down there in the description as well. We have loads coming out on the channel. We have more E3 content. We have more content with Alina the Goblin, aka Grumpus Goblin. And hey, if you like this video, why not drop a subscription? Because we also have our top 5 most disappointing E3 reveals, and it looks like we're going to have our top 10 low-key trailers, where, you know, stuff that's not like necessarily a get hyped moment, but ones that I think will fly under the radar, and I think they're trailers worth talking about. Until next time, you guys, my name's been Samuel Carmody. I have absolutely loved this year's E3. Can't wait for next year's. Until then, see you later. Hello. My name is Samuel Carmody, Sam Carmody on the Twitch TV. Big Papa C is the place to be. We're here with our hype moments from E3, and we got Mario on the desk behind me. Curl this up. Let's curl the mustache up. Why not? The next little bit. Don't know how long it'll stay like that. Let's curl the mustache up. It's taking longer than I thought. Whoop. The things I do on camera. I was gonna give this someone else to edit, and now I'm like, I can't have them see all my goofs, what I'm doing. And if I have hired someone else to edit this, commissioned someone else to edit this, thank you for pouring over all of this ridiculous footage. I'll actually end recording now.